Okay. Hello everybody, it's me, TheT-SaneOtaku here, and we're back for another deck profile. The ones I promised at the end of February. They're happening in mid-March. So, as you can see, we don't have the tripod here, so the video might be a little wobbly. But we're going to try our best here. So this is going to be the Victor deck profile, as you saw by the thumbnail and the title. So we're going to just start off here. So our starter is Extreme Battler Kabutron. Wow. You're like moving. No, you know, I can.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
You should keep this in the video and make everyone motion sick.
Yeah, don't worry about it, because I can just.
Oh, dude, I can't see the card.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Now I can see the card.
I can just do that. Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why we run Kabutron, actually I can just do it this way. It makes it easier on me. Because of the fact that he ensures you that you get a restand off, and on your winning champ turns, you can go and sit there and call him out, swing, and then just boost him, and then just do some stuff. It also helps with people that are once a turn that they hit what they need to, and then that they can restand people that they have to, etc., etc. VicTed is good if you're running stand triggers in the deck. We don't run stands in this deck, so yeah, we can't use it before GB any way you look at it. So we could use the grade 2, but the grade 2 basically just it would lose value.
Cool, Hank?
Yeah. Well, no. The other grade 2.
Oh yeah.
So he's a little out of order, but it doesn't really matter. We run 1 copy of the Gong because it's my off trigger because I run 5 draw. The Gong is just a personal favorite to me because
The Gong.
it's the Gong. We run 4 copies of the Blau Heal. This card is just dumb. Countercharge, soul charge, really nice. It helps when you're trying to go and aim yourself up for favorite champ turns. We run 4 copies of this. When Chaos players play against you, they literally count down how many of these you have in the deck. Because this is the only way that Chaos loses to you. This is the reason why they do. Because they can handlock you as much as they want. But if this is on your board, they're like, ooh. So this guy just counter blast 1 to countercharge 2 or unlock 2. It's really useful. It's not much to say. We run 3 copies of the Pop into Soul Victor Crit. I don't use this card actually that much as I used to. I'm actually debating on putting back in Red Lightning. The only reason why I run this card is because of the ability to ride grade 3 first and not be useless, so you can get a 16k Vanguard and then have rear guard swings that are actually decent. Just me though. And then we run the Markle clone of the deck. This thing fuels your soul for,
days.
Yeah, it's just, it gives 3k. It helps you give your grade 2s the ability to swing on their own. It's just a really nice card. It helps out with the soul if you misride. But I'm not going to be running the card I misride to very long, so this card will lose a little value, but it's an effective draw, so you run it still.
It is a skill. That's all that matters.
Yep. Now we're going to move on to the grade 1s. We run 3 Stride Fodder, and we run 3 of the new one because I like the new art a little bit better. We run this one because of the fact that it's Stride Fodder, and then we like Victors, so
yeah, it
helps you get your good Victor too if you get the wrong one. We run 4 copies of this card. This card's amazing.
Isn't that Jarrowhawk? Yeah.
Yes, Jarrowhawk is amazing because Jarrowhawk loses himself from the board. It puts himself into the soul. You draw 1, you stand a unit, give 2k. He is just another version of our starter here, Kabutron. He's just a little bit better because he's a grade 1, so you can have him in the deck. And then the other great thing about him is the fact that he draws you a card. So it's basically VicTed and Kabutron in 1. This card is really nice because if you're facing off against Gordora, you can go and still work with 1 column. And then we have this card right here. Another reason why Chaos hates us. It's also another reason why Kagero hates us. Because giving resist to the entire field on resting itself is quite nice.
And then quite dumb.
And then also, because you rested himself, the first time you have the chance to stand something, you stand him. Oh, and then he gets 4k for each face-up card in the G-Zone. So on winning champ turns, this thing is like a 32k beater, and it's so much fun because winning champ to favorite champ is just, that's all you do, just win the game.
Name this deck the Charlie Sheen. Winning.
We run 4 copies of Baron. You could run Lady Cyclone, but this card just basically filters your hand. It's why we don't run Rectome or any of those anymore, because we can just Perfect Guard, Counterblast 1 instead of just discarding to draw, and then we draw. So it helps you filter your hand out for cards that you might want in the later game for combo pieces. But the counterblasting away helps because then we can run cards like Unior, and then also if we go to the Fighters Collection G Guardian, this absolutely is a free draw 1. So it makes everything just free, but it's like you got to work it with other things. And even counterblasting 1 away to draw 1 is still just a good card.
Yeah, that in general is just dumb good.
Bad thing about this is you have to have a Victor. The card you protect has to be Victor, but it's whatever.
Best card in the set.
Yeah.
Best card in the set.
It's the new staple. This card's dumb.
He becomes Sever Temper in every single way.
So he's the new card that was just amazing because he's before GB stand, and then he also becomes 16 on his own at GB2 at rush. So he also gains resist as well. So Link Joker and Kagero really just want to grab our throats. There's not much to say about this card. This card's dumb. This card's thick. This card's beautiful, and you gotta love that triple refoiling.
Oh, dude, yeah.
This card right here is a maybe, but I've been having a lot of fun with this card, and I think that it has merit to itself. This card is Ninjard. So Ninjard, what makes him wonky is that no matter where, it's not swing at Vanguard, it's swing anywhere. And so if you want to swing, you have to go and stand. You can choose to stand something. You give something 2,000. The good part about him is that you don't have to go and like physically stand a unit. You can just choose it, like how it is for Alexandros. And the unit stood and him both get 2,000 for each face-up card in the G zone. So this can actually get quite nice towards the end, where you go and have a ton of cards face up, and you could just have like a trigger in your front row, ninjard it up with like a ton of power, and then you can just keep on going. So that's why I like him. A lot of people run Cool Hank because you can choose to swing at rear guards and then get stands off like that. So far, I found that this card was more successful because having boosters is not always something that you can count on, especially with Kagero in the mix. But it's always a personal preference. And then now my news is Beyblade. So my Beyblade girl right here, she replaced Sever Temper. I used to run her as a 1-of in the old build, as you saw. Now I run her as a 4-of with 0 Sever Tempers in there because of the fact that Sever Temper is GB2, and she actually has an auto ability. And over time, I learned that auto abilities can be put on standby, and when you put it on standby, you can choose which auto ability goes on first. So she will still get 5,000 on your first restand. So if she's your stand target, you stand her, and then she will get 10,000 from the winning champ and from herself. So that's why I run her. Also, when you go into favorite champ later on, she just gets ridiculously dumb because she gets 35,000 for free on average. So it's just, I like 35,000 for free. Nick, what do you have to do to get 35,000?
Oh, dude, so blessed one.
Yeah, exactly. So next up, we run 4 copies of Zubat Battler Victor. This is half the reason why the deck's dumb, because countercharging, soul charging, and drawing is dumb, and then getting a skill that draws more is dumb. So this is why I call the deck OTT Victor. And his on-stride ability is Counterblast 1. Whenever you stride, you draw a card, call 1, choose a unit, and it's a mandatory once a turn stand. So the bad thing about this is on winning champ turns, you can whiff favorite champ. If you whiff him by standing a unit, then you can't stand it. So it makes it a little on the rough side. But you should be okay, because if after you've played the deck enough, you can just not activate his skill, and then you just miss out on a card in hand. So it's whatever. And then his end of turn skill is what makes him just incredibly dumb. It rewards you for blowing your load every turn by if you have 1 or less counterblast, countercharge 1, 1 or less soul charge 1. If you did both, you draw a card. So it gives you a nice crisp high 5. I mean, there's nothing to say. Like, this card's ridiculously good. And then I used to run this card in the deck, but I'm actually debating on not running him anymore just because of the fact that his GB2 rush ability for the restand is bad, and then his...
Lets you hit Gallop. That's all it does.
It's Gallop, okay. But I'd rather go and hit Gallop with wonky numbers that are bigger with other units. But the reason why I hate riding this unit is because of the fact that when you ride this guy, your game sucks. You absolutely cry because you have no soul, and winning champ just can't get rid of your counterblast enough, and you're just stuck in the water. Standing a column is nice, but you lose out on power, you lose out on advantage, It's so disappointing. I'm actually going to be switching this card out for Extreme Battler Victor, the old Victor, because the old Victor has the same cost for his stride as this one, and stride isn't that much of a problem. Soul was, it's okay, but you want to put it all towards winning if you can. So I kind of don't like this card anymore, so I'm changing it out. The other reason why your Soul's tight is because now that we're going on to the G-Zone, you run this card, and we run it as a 3 of. So Dog and Titan is our main flip target for Winning Champ, and he's the reason why that this deck can fight against Link Joker as well. And so this ability is Soul Blasting 1. You flip him face down, and you can countercharge 1 or unlock 1. And then he is our most consistent G-Guardian as well. When I have less rear guards than you do, thanks to having cards that go into the Soul like Hawk, I get 10k to my shield. So this is just really consistent, really nice. I usually try to flip up 2 of these if I'm facing off against Chaos on my Winning Champ turn. But I run 3 just so that 2 of them usually go up somehow, and then this one is the one that I actually use to guard with. So that's also a reason why we like our Soul, and this guy just blows it away and just says, you don't need it. But yeah, we'll put it over there. We run 1 copy of Gundred. This is the card I was talking about, the Fighters Collection G Guardian, that it just G flips you, and every time your Vanguard gets swung at, it's gonna countercharge 1. If you know that your opponent, if you have a big enough hand, you can bluff them out and have it to where they won't attack your Vanguard. I have had games where I was facing off against Aquaforce, and I had like 3 grade 3s or 4 grade 3s in my hand, and like I had no other cards in my hand. And I threw this Gundred down to guard one of their rear guard swings, and I just used his ability, and so they went up, I countercharged 1, and I had 3 counterblasts face down. They thought I had like really good guard material in hand, so they ended their turn without attacking anymore.
Wow.
This card actually can win you games just because of the fact that also, just like no bluffs intended, if they keep on swinging at you and you have a lot of guard in hand, you can just keep on guarding, have everything live and open for your nice Winning Champ or Favorite Champ turns. We run 1 copy of Unyor because this card is okay if you PG, and then you can countercharge 2 and get 5k. I only use this card also if I'm out of Soul from Dog and Titan, or if I use this card. Literally, this card right here, Unyor, is the reason why that excessive is like you cannot just concede. But yeah, he's also a good flip target for Gundred. I mean, also use SP. It's kind of why I run him. We run Starcoon. So Stark is amazing. We talked about it in many other ways. He's just swing, big beater. You only run into him when you just have like that oh shit kind of thing. I really prefer running this card. If I have the option to go into this or this, I always choose this if I can, unless I'm just like an idiot. But yeah, this card is just, it's good, but we have better options. But this is that, if I have that full field locked, no Soul for Dog and Titan on flips, then you go into this, because this guy can actually go and still win you the game. We run 1 GB8. He's kind of flip fodder, but he is actually really good because you can get that 7 attack plus off, and he gets really big at the late game. And, you know, getting to GB8 on 2nd or 3rd stride is really not that hard in this deck. Winning Champ Victor can get me 7 face up at once. I've gotten it maybe once or twice before, so it's not impossible. We run 2 copies of Meteor Kaiser Victor. This is for that, oh shit, if I'm out of counterblast, so my opponent will counterblast cuck me on this one, and you'll only have like 1 maybe, and so you can maybe like counterblast 1 for the on-stride ability, and then he still does something because you can actually still stand 3 units with this. I went to the tournament this last weekend. This is the reason why I won one of my games, was just because I had 2 Beyblade girls, and then I had him, and I had a couple face-up cards in the G-Zone, and I just had no counterblast. But I swung with him, on-stride ability stood 1, his GB3 stood the other, and they let me hit, so I got 5k to another one of them, and they were 5k off of guarding the second one. So it was nutty. It was so nutty.
That's fucking nutty.
We run 2 copies of Victoplasm. I kind of want to bump it up to 3 because I've talked about it before. There's a comment on the last one, and the reason why you run it as a 3 of in most decks is because of the fact that his skill requires a Counterblast 2 G flip, and then you get the rest of the skill off. And his skill requires you to have 2 face-up cards in the G zone. But if you look up here, his act ability, and act abilities, as we know, can be used as many times as we want, don't require once a turn, and it's not a requirement. So you can, if you're on first stride, you can first stride this card, counterblast 4, because you can counterblast 2, G flip 1, counterblast 2, G flip and second one, and then the second one after you flip it up. Now his cost is active because you have 2 face up in the G zone, and you can just go like this into first stride, so you can have a restanding Vanguard first stride. But the reason why I'm running him at 2 now is because the card you've been seeing is such a better first stride that no matter if you can go into this first stride, the chance of you wanting to go into this first stride is so low that it doesn't matter. Also, I only have 2 copies of Victor.
Poor boy build.
Yeah, poor boy. We have 2 copies of Winning Champ Victor. Winning Champ Victor is just so good.
Charlie Sheen himself.
Yes. You go into this card if, you want to win. You go into this card if you go first stride. If you go in this card, if you whiff the first one, it doesn't matter. You go into this card. Like, there's no reason why not to. The only time that you go into the second one, sadly, is when you go into this one, you swing, and you just, have bad board. You only get 2 guards off because you have a locked board. Only reason why you run 2, because after the first time you go into him, the chances of you having enough soul to go into him a second time is really slim. So it's whatever. But you also can run him as a 2-of because he has a nice flip target. So that's that. We run 1 copy of Seabreeze because Seabreeze is Seabreeze.
Yep, that's Seabreeze.
I like getting a free 26 3 drive checks goodness. And then you run 2 copies of Favorite Champ Victor. Favorite Champ Victor is our main finisher of the deck. He's also the reason why this deck is outrageously dumb. So this card is the restander. I'm pretty sure all of you know that. The one thing that you got to always remember about him is that he has a mandatory, you have to stand 3. So that's the reason why we don't run stands. And then it's also the reason why we don't like Gridora, because, well, no, Gridora's fine. I'm thinking of a different card, but oh well. It'll come back to me later. Yes, Defeat Flare. That's why we run 2, is because when they blow up your backboard, you cannot actually get the Vanguard restand. So that's why so that's why we run 2, is because most Overlord players at maximum run 2 Defeat Flare because Denial Griffin and so much other things in the G zone is more important to them. And the chances of them having enough heals to go and have Defeat Flaring both of these is so low that it really just doesn't matter. So that's why we go and run it as a 2-of. So I hope you all enjoyed that one. This was our Victor deck profile. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I can always answer them. I try to answer comments once a week. So yeah, I'll go and see you guys in the next one. And we're deck profiles in a row, and this is number 1. See you guys.